Okay, so the year 2024 is just round the corner, and with a new year, a new resolution comes up. A very popular resolution. The resolution to read 100 books. Many people I know have set this goal of reading 100 books in the year 2024. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you how you can become a better reader in 2024 as opposed to reading 100 books a year. We're going to talk about very easy actionable ways by which you can become better readers. If you have never read any book in your life, if you want to become a reader, the video is going to help you. And also if you are already a reader, the video is going to help you to become a better reader. Make sure you watch the video till the end. You may never know which thought or fact may resonate with you and change the course of your life. So let's get started. Let's talk about the first actionable way. The first way is don't set unrealistic goals. Basically, don't set like a goal of reading 100 books if you're not a reader. What happens here is when you set a goal, let's say you're super pumped in the first month, second month, or let's say you read 80 books out of the 100 books. For the last 20 books, you would rush through to just get through that 100 mark and feel accomplished. You would rush through and not absorb the actual nuances, the actual beauty of reading the book. So that is why I personally never set any goals to read, because when I have that goal, I always feel until I get that goal, I would never feel accomplished. Even if you're reading one book in 2024, if you absorb everything from that book, if you try to implement everything from that book, you are going to help yourself, as opposed to just randomly reading 100 books and telling the world that you have read 100 books. So the idea here is, even if you're reading less books, let's say even if you're reading one book a month, make sure that book is well researched. Make sure the book that you're reading is really is gonna help you, and you want to read it because of your curiosity. Remember, the idea here is to not read 100 books. The idea here is to become a reader, to be well versed with the idea of reading books. Next is accountability. So this has worked for me beautifully. I currently am accountable to you guys. Whenever I read a book, I want to share it with you guys. So I already have this thing in my mind where I have to read books and share stories with you. So I like to consider myself a storyteller, where I'm reading something from a book and I'm telling it in the form of a story to you guys. So in your circles, find out who you want to be accountable to. You can be accountable to your parents, your family, your social media. Announce it to the world that you're going to tell stories. Announce it to the world that you're going to share things from books. That way you will really become a reader. That way you'll really have the energy and motivation to pick up a book. So it becomes very easy to read a lot of books. Next is a very important thing which I have not discussed in my previous videos about how to become an effective reader. The thing is, this year I have started practicing rereading books. I came across this concept by Naval Ravikant in his Joe Rogan podcast, where he says that how he tries to reread books.
The reality is, I would rather read the best 100 books over and over again until I absorb them, rather than read all the books.
Right.
Yeah, because your brain has finite information. In a finite space, you get enough advice, it all cancels to zero. There's a lot of nonsense in books out there.
I also came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius in which he says that no man steps in the same river twice, because it's not the same river anymore and he's not the same man anymore. So very similarly, I think that let's say you read a book at a certain point of time, you love it, you resonate with the ideas. Some years pass, let's say 1 or 2 years pass, and after that, the environment around you has changed. You have changed, your belief systems have changed, you as a person have developed a different mindset now, you have developed physically, there's a lot of changes around you. You're basically not the same person, right? Now when you read the book, you view it through a different lens. This time when you read it, you can literally read between the lines and understand the nuances better. This happened with me when I reread Khalid Hosseini's Thousand Splendid Suns again. When I read it first time, I was in college. In my college, I was exposed to a limited worldview. When I read it, I loved the book. I was really sad to read the book. I was moved by it. I experienced all of those emotions. But when I reread it, when I tried to understand what the author really wanted to say, it affected me even more, because now I was viewing the world through a different lens because of the current war situation between Israel and Palestine, reading about the Russian invasion, all of these things actually going on around you. When you know these things and now when you read that book, it feels very different and it hits you more hard. You can understand the emotions better, you can better absorb, you can better be empathetic and for the characters, and it's just a whole new experience. So this point is specifically for reading non-readers, if you have been reading books, try to reread them, because the pages are going to be the same, the words are going to be the same, but you as a person would be very different. This also applies to fiction books, because when you first read a fiction book, let's say the plot of the book is really interesting. Let's take an example that you're reading a thriller book. When you're reading a thriller book or a fantasy book, you are very, very excited to know what goes on next, what happens next. You are excited to know what happens in the end. So in that process, you are rushing through the fiction, you are rushing through the plot. But when you read good fiction books, when you read, fiction books with depth, you can read between the lines, you can read the metaphors, you can understand the characters when you already know the end. So try doing this. I did this for many books. I did this for Fahrenheit 451. I did this for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Multiple books. I tried rereading books and it was beautiful. So in 2024, even if you're not reading new books, it's perfectly okay. The goal here is to become a better person and not become a person who's just reading books. You have to be able to use the information from books. You have to be able to generate ideas. You have to be able to, experience the joy of reading. So yeah, rereading is one of the ways by which you can become a better reader in 2024. Next is finding out about your energy levels. I've talked about this in my previous videos as well, that you have to find out at what points of the day, at what times of the day you feel the most productive. Some people are night owls, some people like to study in the morning, some people are very active during afternoons. I love to take a nap during afternoons, but I'm not a afternoon person at all. So find out what time works the best for you, and during that time find out whether you are receptive to learning about new information, or you are in a very relaxed state of mind and you just want an escape. So when you are in a relaxed state of mind, you can pick up a fiction book where you can generate ideas very easily. It's like your mind is like a blank canvas and you can fill ideas by reading fiction. And when you are receptive to learning more information, when you are feeling productive and you want to conquer the world, pick up a non-fiction book, pick up a biography, pick up a book which will teach you some skills, which will challenge your belief systems. So find out about your energy levels and schedule your reading according to that. Next, never read one book at a time. I cannot stress how important this is. For many people, they make a plan. They literally have a plan that this month I'm going to read this book, this month I'm going to read this book. Now what happens here is, you're reading some books, but when you get stuck on a book, sometimes the book becomes boring. Then you altogether stop reading. You altogether abandon the idea of reading. But on the contrary, when you're reading multiple books at a time, it's like cooking multiple dishes together. You feel that you are not proceeding, you feel that you're not finishing books, but at the same time, you're somehow reading different types of books and connecting the dots together. Let's say you're reading a philosophy book and you have learned about some new philosophy, and then you read a fiction book the next day. Somehow you try to see the fiction from a philosophical point of view as well. So mixing all of these books together creates a beautiful brain map. It's like connecting all of your maps together. You can also write all of these things down and try mapping them. It's a beautiful exercise of learning new things basically. So the things which you are curious about, try to read multiple books, because you don't want to get stuck on one book and abandon the reading habit. Next is, it's okay to quit books. So I have talked about this again, that I fundamentally believe that it's an author's responsibility to make you read a book. I try to put in energy to read 20 to 30% of the book. If the book does not speak my language, if I find it boring, I would abandon it. Even if it's a bestseller, even if it's like the book which will change my life, even if it's a book that everybody's reading, if it does not speak my language, if it does not resonate with me, I would not complete that book. It's very easy for me. It's very easy for me to abandon books without guilt, because you're not here to read all of the books and you're not here to read what everyone is reading. You have to read what you want to read, what your personality suits, what resonates with you, and what you are genuinely curious about. Sometimes I'm genuinely curious about science fiction, so I read science fiction. I don't look at how popular the book is. If I research about the author, I research about why that book was written and this fascinates me, then I pick up that book. And if I don't like it, I abandon it. So the idea here is, it's okay to quit books. And the last is, find the right book to start with if you're not a reader. Again, it's very important to not feel intimidated by a reading stuff. Again, it's very important to not feel intimidated by being a reader. So for non-readers, I've talked to a lot of people who want to develop this reading habit. These days, I get a lot of emails about, this is my specific problem when it comes to reading. And the most common problem which I found when it comes to a person picking up a new habit of reading is, they love the idea of reading books. They sit down, they open the book, but they feel after reading 2 pages, they forgot what they read. And 3, they don't have the momentum of reading the whole book. They feel after reading 2 pages, they're getting tired and maybe they're not meant for reading. It's not just how it works. And then they just abandon the reading thing, go on YouTube and watch a video about it. That's not how it works. You can change this fundamentally. First of all, don't scroll social media before reading. 30 to 40 minutes before reading a book. Make your mind still. Make your mind free of thoughts. You don't want to have 100 different thoughts and then try to read a book, because when you are already struggling with 100 thoughts, it's very difficult to read a book again. So clear your mind first, go out on a walk, relax your mind, and then pick up a book which genuinely you are curious about. If you're not curious about a lot of things, this is also a problem. Sometimes people don't know what I'm curious about. The best way to start is by doing two things. The first thing is read a short story. Read a story which you can finish, because after finishing books you'll get some confidence. And the second, which I personally like the most, is read a biography. Read a biography or an autobiography of a person who you feel is your idol in life. It can be a businessman, it can be a businesswoman, it can be an astronaut, a sports athlete, an economist, a cook, anything, whatever you feel, whoever you feel you want to know their story about, pick up that book. It can be a Bollywood actor, read Priyanka Chopra's book if you want to. So find out who your role model is, pick up their book and finish that book. Then you will build a confidence that yes, you can read a book, and this will help you a lot. It will work like a domino effect, trust me. So yes, in 2024, let's become better readers. Again, the goal is not to read 100 books. The goal is to become better readers, absorb more information, implement whatever we are learning from the books, share our knowledge with people. The world needs people who read books, because people who read books, I genuinely believe, have a different worldview. They are very empathetic. They understand nuances. They are receptive to listening. They make better conversationalists. They make better conversations. And we basically want to help more and more people to make the world a better place. So yes, as a community, I feel we have this journey together. Even I am evolving with all of you guys. We started this journey together 3 years back when I started making videos on the internet, on YouTube. So even I am learning as a reader, and our next step is to implement whatever we are learning in a beautiful way. So yes, I hope you guys read a lot of books in the year 2024, and I recommend you guys a lot of interesting books as well. So stay tuned with the channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support, and here's wishing you all a very happy new year. That's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.